Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. We always say, yeah, easiest way to get into it. This is the Network of Love. Your host, Beatmaster Neddy live and direct, coming to you from a nondescript area in the city of Markham, Ontario. Keeping it away from prying eyes, right? So I just want to say welcome everybody. I know we started late again today, but as you know, we're on the road. We're actually mobile right now, so it's not easy to get everything set up on time and all of that jazz. You know how it is, right? Nonetheless, as we said before, we'll never let you down. We're always going to be here for you on a Sunday evening where you can come and join us with your family. You can relax and enjoy yourself. Make yourself a cup of tea. Pour yourself a glass of wine. Call your friend, your neighbor. Just huddle around and join the network of love. Yeah. So today with me, I have a very special guest. Right. She's done quite a bit of important work in the community among young people, and continue to reach out and trying to do her very best in the community. And I think that these are the people that we need to embrace and have close because they have our best interests and our children's and therefore our future's interests at heart. So today is Miss Claudia. Um, I normally call her hardcore just only because the name is a plain name. You know what I'm saying? She always goes hard at getting everything done right and making everything good for us. So I would just like for you to introduce yourself, Claudia.
So, yeah, my name is Claudia, and I live in Markham, that's in the province of Ontario, for those of you folks in the US who aren't familiar with the geography of Canada. We're almost right in the middle of the country. We border Michigan and parts of Minnesota, I believe. Um, and I've been working in the public sector as well as the NGO for many, many, many years. And when Nedrick talked about the important work that I do, I'm hoping that you're not thinking it's not about me. It's the actual outcomes and the outputs that I've been able to influence and facilitate. And even though I don't work directly with people, as I'm mainly in the public policy sphere, I had opportunities to influence and design policies, um, by identifying policy objectives, whether it's for education, whether it's for consumer affairs, whether it's um, alcohol, public health, the entire gamut. So that's a little bit about me. I don't
Also,
know. I don't know if you want to hear about specifics, but I'll leave you to your questions.
yeah, definitely. So what I'm interested in, this show is called the Network of Love,
Mm-hmm.
and what we're actually attempting to do, we're not attempting, we're actually doing it. Is
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to bring the community together, right? All
Mm-hmm.
spheres and aspects of the community,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be music related, business related, legal, whatever it is that
Mm-hmm.
seeks to advance, our community and the people who are um, trailblazers in terms of
Mm-hmm.
business ideas, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be something that's economically driven or something that has
Mm-hmm.
social significance, like some of the work that you have been doing. Right. So, in light of what's going on socially with young people these
Mm-hmm.
days, how difficult do you find it to navigate, among the young people, seeing that we're somewhat generationally apart or almost, you know, I mean, and sometimes some of the values that we adhere to,
Yeah.
they might look at us as, you know, this is strange. Like, you
Yeah.
know, how could you think that, you know,
Yeah.
we would, you know, think that this is cool,
Cool.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so on. So how do you navigate that scenario?
So when I first started out my career, I was basically in management, and I had the opportunities to make some decisions, pretty consequential decisions for young people.
Right.
And one of the things that I did, and I was close in age to them because I started out fairly young. So
Okay.
I was in my mid to late 20s.
Right.
One of the things that I always did was talk to the people on the ground who were closest to these young people.
Right.
I remember this one young worker who worked with in social housing, and I was pitching him an idea or an approach. And he would basically look at me and tell me that my idea is boneheaded.
Bullshit.
And I always appreciated that.
Right.
And I always went back to him.
Right.
Even to this day, if I'm not sure, I'll reach out to him and say, hey, does this work? Sometimes it does. And, a few times he's said, what you guys are doing as a government are, it's really stupid.
Right.
And the only reason why he interacts with me is because he knows my heart is in the right place.
Right.
And he knows I want really good outcomes for young people.
Yeah.
And, the work that I do, that I get paid for, the impact doesn't necessarily remain in that sphere.
Right.
I've also had the opportunity to, so I do have a son. So when my son was in high school, he had two young friends, these two young black boys.
Right.
They were super, super bright, super, super talented athletically, but they weren't familiar, and their families weren't familiar with the school system and how to navigate it and how to make sure that they're going to be coming out ahead and getting into the university as well as the faculty of their choice. So I would be on the phone with them at night, talking to them about, when it's time to select their courses, talk to them about what courses to take and the reason for it, how to get ahead. As simple as, once they were leaving grade 8, encourage them between grade 8 and grade 9 to do your community service hours. Because in Ontario, in order to get your grade 12 diploma, you have to do 40 hours in order to graduate.
Okay.
So we all know when these kids are leaving grade 8, they don't want to go to summer camp anymore. That's just, it doesn't make sense. So why not use that time to do something? And you can do even more than 40 hours because it's work experience.
Okay.
It's something that can help you in the future to get a good summer job, or even, and even if you're not even sure, because when you're in grade 8, you really don't know what career path you want to take. But at least it's an opportunity to expand and get exposure to different potential career paths, at the same time giving back.
Right.
And that message is really, really important.
Right.
One of the things that I did with my son, friends, that I didn't do in my career was talk to them about the importance of giving back. So the time that I'm spending with you guys, the time that I'm exposing you to different types of opportunities, whether it's taking them to golf tournaments or boat cruises, whatever it is. It's for them to not just take, but for them to kind of internalize and understand that it's not just about the experience that they're receiving, but it's for them to start thinking about how that impacted their life and how they can impact their peers as well as younger people.
That's right.
So
That's
yeah.
right. So from I guess the generation where we are now, like for myself, anyways, I'm not gonna say how old I am. I'm like ancient Chinese secret or ancient Jamaican, whatever. But with the young people these days, with the advent of technology, like it is said now that like people spend so much more time on the screen on their whether it be the computer computer playing
Mhm.
games or
Mhm.
on their smartphones doing whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
How do you find young people today responding when someone is saying to them, well, maybe you should reduce that screen time and get more socially active, or do something that's more beneficial from maybe a physical standpoint or whatever. Do you get a lot of pushback in that area, or how did?
Um, I think as adults, I think we need to try to stay away from you should not, thou shalt
Okay.
not,
Right.
try not to.
Right.
We need to provide alternatives.
Right.
So when you talk about opportunities for them to do face-to-face interactions with their peers, we
Mhm.
need to be more intentional.
Right.
So provide up those opportunities.
Right.
I mean, even when I'm looking at this from a policy perspective,
Mhm.
you know, you know, there are always two sides to the argument,
Right.
right?
Right.
Having students have access to phones in
Right.
classes as opposed to not having. It's okay. So, what do you do with the curriculum
Right.
so that they're using it in an optimal way,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's not further um, inculcating that need to be in front of the screen all the time.
Right.
Sorry, my headphone is falling off.
That's all right. I notice you trying to fix it all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because you have it to the back rather than on the top, and I know
Okay,
you probably don't want to.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
put it on the top.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go.
There you
Okay,
go.
that's
Perfect.
better.
Yes.
I want it to look cool. Sorry.
Yeah. You don't need that to look cool. Trust me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about being a little bit more intentional. I mean,
Right.
it's here.
Mhm.
We have to deal with it, right? So we can't get rid of it, but we
Right.
have to figure out. And again, we can't just say let's.
Right.
You need to
Right.
figure out how to use it. You
Right,
need to
right.
be really, really intentional and specific,
Yes.
so that they have other alternatives. It's giving them
Yeah,
options,
I was
right?
just thinking that providing alternatives, I think
Yeah.
is the best I guess way to navigate situations like that. Where, and I think it's a matter of what alternative is going to attract their minds. It might be something in the sports field, it might be something in social field, or just whatever it is that they can look at. What, this is quite interesting. I never thought of that, and
Yeah.
whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. So what I mean? And I think that's a smart way to go about it, is really to communicate with them to the point where you're actually respecting, their individuality, but at
Yeah.
the same time, giving them a sense of, a direction by saying, there are alternatives that you can look at. And I think that's awesome. Yeah.
But be specific about those
Yes,
alternatives
yes,
so
definitely.
that they're
Yeah.
not wavering out there.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, do you think from the standpoint of observation of these young people, where they might be talented, where they might have a gift, I mean, I think that might take careful observation of some of the things that they do, and maybe point them in that direction. So what, I think maybe if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
I like when I talk to, like, generally when I talk to high school and whatever, it's hard for them to say what they're gonna do at this
Exactly.
point. They don't
Exactly.
really know.
No.
But sometimes it's good if you see something in someone and you point that
spark.
out and say,
Yeah.
know what, yeah,
Yeah,
what I mean? I
yeah.
think that's the way.
It's so interesting because there was an elder that did a professional development session for teachers, and I was fortunate enough to be able to join as a ministry staff.
Right.
And one of the things they talked about in that particular indigenous community, they do a lot of observing. They sit and they watch their kids play.
Right.
They see them interact.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember this. There was a delegation that came from Australia, and again, it was another indigenous community.
Okay.
And this elder, emphasized that what they did was basically sat on stoops
Right.
and just look at the young people. See, because in that, they're not just identifying it for them, but once they see that there's a particular skill or interest in one facet or avenue of their life,
Right.
they try to figure out ways of how to enhance that
Right.
and to grow that so that it becomes something that they can actually pursue,
Right.
enjoy,
Right.
and monetize, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what resources are there, for example, that you could, without, getting into any area that might be sensitive? What resources are there for young people now that you could point to? Um, that maybe that's outside of, the regular. Um,
Hmm. That's an interesting question because there's so many different things. I mean, especially with programs that NGOs are funding to do. But I think for Black and Indigenous young people,
yeah.
their network is not as expansive
Okay.
as other young people from other communities.
Right.
And there are lots of opportunities available that they don't know about.
Right.
So, like simple example, Toronto Youth Cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the young people who in the past
Mm-hmm.
took advantage of that opportunity. So it's Toronto Youth Cabinet is the voice of Toronto, youth voice of Toronto. So they report directly
Okay.
to council
Mm-hmm.
on issues that affect young people,
Okay.
as well as making recommendations for change,
Right.
right?
Right.
So they have an executive director. I can't, but anyways, there's a hierarchy in there,
Mm-hmm.
and before it was, kids who
Mm-hmm.
were well resourced,
Mm-hmm.
kids
Mm-hmm.
who were well connected.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone, even someone from a social housing community,
Mm-hmm.
had as much of an opportunity to be part of that, but because they don't know, they don't get, and
Okay.
the opportunities that can come out of belonging in a space like that,
Right. Right.
it's immense.
Yeah.
I mean, one person, I think he was in law school
Mm-hmm.
when he started. Now I think he's a deputy minister
Okay.
in the Ontario government.
That's good.
So,
Being
but
aware.
yes,
Have,
being
yeah.
aware. But because we don't, for Black and Indigenous young people,
Right.
their networks are not connected
Got you.
as much as other young people.
Right.
So they miss out on these opportunities. Even like internships, like
Mhm.
summer internships
Mhm.
in the different government, whether it's municipal or
Mhm.
federal or provincial, they don't know about it. And
Okay.
even when you send it out and you share it with them, I don't even think that they've realized
Okay.
the potential and how this can help them
Mhm.
grow and get ahead.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that I think in terms of resources
Mhm.
is us as adults
Mhm.
to make sure that we are connecting
Right.
our young people
Right.
to all of the different opportunities that we know. So we have to do some work as well. We have to do a little bit of mining.
Yes.
We have to be great entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So we know the industry that we're in,
Right.
and we know our friends' industry, and
Right.
we network like that, right? And help. And it's not just helping your own kid; it's helping your friends' kids.
That's
A
right.
kid down the street whose
Right.
parents may not have the time or
Right.
may not have the connections,
Yes.
bring them in under the fold so that they can get that exposure and those opportunities.
Awesome. And when we talk about network, so this show is called the Network of Love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think just in that sphere when we understand how important it is to network and to bring awareness to everything, like what's in the community, whether it be from a business standpoint, social
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, um, you know wherever we find an opportunity to network, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that information is being distributed
Yeah.
among all the different areas, and so that we can start weaving a fabric of connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's crucial, and the Network of Love show is here for that purpose. Hence, we're us having this discussion,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully bringing some awareness to some of the things that are happening around us in immediately here in the city of Toronto, and the Greater Toronto area.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm actually visiting from the city of Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and but on the road, I'm always doing that. Right? It's called a Network of Love. So don't forget to join us every Sunday, right here, where we talk about topics that we think will bring value to our community, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what we discuss will benefit someone. We don't know who,
Yeah.
we don't know where,
Yeah.
but hopefully even one person that
Yeah.
derive a benefit from what we're doing,
Yeah.
I think it is worth it.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you being able to have this discussion with us.
Can I just tell you about one? I want to tell you about this one particular
Yes.
experience that I had, and
Okay.
I always share this experience.
Yes.
There was this young man, and he's been an entrepreneur since I think he was like 12 or 13. He told me this story several times, and he used to import running shoes or sneakers. You guys call it sneakers from China,
Okay.
and then he would sell it here
Okay.
at a profit. And his name is Rondell Ajay.
Okay.
He is a brilliant business person, but also a wonderful, wonderful orator, a very much talented community builder. So as he went along, he ran into people like myself, where he decided that he wanted to create a space where young people can showcase their talent, their artistic prowess. And he didn't have money. He didn't know. But I was with the city of Toronto, so I managed to get him a permit. And he had this thing going once a month.
Okay.
And everyone would come out and do their thing, and it ballooned. I think, was it last year or the year before? Ontario came up with the first poet laureate ever in Ontario. Guess who that poet laureate is?
Voila.
Big up Rondell.
Really nice. Big up Randall, wherever you are, big up. It's very important that, and again, there's so much talent in our community, right? And again, we talk about awareness. And if we are not aware and they're not aware, nobody's aware, it's such a waste, you know what I'm saying? So awareness, I think, is very important. And I think with the advent of social media and with things like this, what I'm doing, a podcast, for example, we're kind of subverting and kind of working around, mainstream media, for example, or other areas where people normally tend to go to for their information, right? So it's a wonderful thing that we're able to use social media in order to really be able to put information out to people, you know what I mean? And that information is very valuable. Like, if we really realize how important, how valuable information is, you know what I mean? It is like gold. It is very, 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 very valuable. And I think once we start to wrap our minds around how to, like we're talking about doing this network and to be able to bring to the forefront new talent and information and so on, so that we can know, if you're a mechanic, for example, in the community, I'd like to take my business to you if I knew you were there, but I had no idea you're there, Not to say that we're not, at the Network of Love, like I always say, we want people who vibrate at love's frequency, right? So if you are about love, your community, about growth, about positivity, we want to definitely take you, we want to make sure that you are you're there with us, right? So essentially that's kind of like what I some of the things that cross my mind anyways, right? So yeah, essentially I know it's kind of warm, right? Where there's no way around getting. It's been a hot summer, right? Although we are, we're air conditioned, it's still warm because of equipment and the lights and so on that we have. So I definitely get it. Like sometimes I literally drip sweat because of the the lights and etc. But it's just a part of what it is, right? So I also want to remind everybody that with the Network of Love, you have a chance to win some jewelry from Neddy Jewelers, located in Alpharetta, Georgia. All you have to do is answer the question, and you drop an email into beat@virusmusic.com. That's BEAT at virosmusic.com, right? And you have and to answer the question, what was the official release date of the album, The Network of Love? What was the official release date of the album, The Network of Love? If you get that right, drop it into an email to beat@virusmusic.com. You'll be entered into a draw to win one of two or both um, beautiful sterling silver bracelets. I'm not able to kind of show you the pictures today because of, we're mobile, not fully in our full setup. But yeah, they're gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure that as a gift to someone, it would be awesome, right? I also like to remind everybody, like who are artists, that on the webpage virusmusic.com, that's virosmusic.com, if you click on the tab that says Virus Beats, you can actually sign up there to be a member. And once you become a member, you can actually submit your music to us if you want to be featured on the show, or if you want us to showcase your music, you can go ahead and do that. That will actually take you to a PDF file where you can sign off on allowing us to do that, because we don't want to infringe on your publishing, right? So you just want to sign off that you allow us to broadcast your music without any problems, any concerns. You just want to keep it legal, keep it straight, to make sure that you're good and we're good in that process. It's just a simple contract that you sign to allow us to play your music, and we will be happy to help to put your music out. As again, Virus Music is really about pushing out brand new original music. That's what we really are about. But along with the music, we do other things, like we look out for things that's happening in the community where we can, start to make the network stronger. And the more of us that come together, the better it becomes, right? So I'd just like to say that we have now acquired 33,900 subscribers. That's 33,900 subscribers. We want to get up to 50,000 by the end of this month, August. I don't know if we can do it, but people, let's do it. Let's find a way to do it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, right? Like, share, and subscribe. We can actually push this out to a lot more people and get the information out. So if you're concerned about your young children, your young ones, your college or high school students, you're concerned about some of the things that's bothering them, or they're not maybe taking advantage of all the opportunities that are there for them. Networking here at the Network of Love and reaching out to someone like Miss Claudia, for example, would be a good thing to do, because there's a wealth of information, and without information, there's not a lot that can be done. And I think that that's very important. So come join the Network of Love every Sunday, where we have something unique and different for you all the time. If it's not music, it's whatever, but whatever it is, it's love. So if you're vibrating at love's frequency, we want to have you here. Remember, come and be yourself. We don't want you to come and pretend that you're this or you're that or whatever. If you're on the show, we're doing an interview with you, just relax, let your hair down, right? Just make sure that you're you, right? I just want you to be genuine. That way, the authenticity of what we do remains what it is, true and full of love. So people, I just want to say, I'm glad you're here joining us. Those of you who are joining us, I'm happy that you're here. We appreciate you. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this out there as we continue having a conversation with Miss Claudia. All right. So, is there anything else that you can think of in terms of our youth today that might be of a concern, that or that you've heard of, that parents would come and bring a concern to you about, and what might some of those things be, especially as it relates to looking towards the future, and especially again as it relates to the school system, the educational system on a whole, and how they might find direction in that, and some of those things that they would have brought to you in terms of what they're concerned about.
Yeah, I'm deeply worried about the political environment that we find ourselves in.
Okay.
That's a deep concern of mine, because of how messy it looks right now. I'm afraid that young people will disengage.
Right.
And they won't be able to understand the role of government, um, not as a business, but as uh, an institution that looks after its people,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm worried about that. And I'm worried, I always think about Rousseau and Diderot. They always talk, they always struggle with the notion of vouloir et pouvoir, right?
Okay.
The need and the want.
Right.
Both of them use it in different ways.
Right.
One is on a political sphere, whereas the other one is around capacity
Right.
and as human beings and what we do
Right.
and how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just afraid that young people won't have the opportunity to have that external and internal conversation about need
Right.
and want,
Right.
right?
Right.
And how it affects not just them,
Yeah.
but the world around them,
Right.
the environment, right? Everything
Right.
boils down to
Right.
vouloir et pouvoir, want and need.
And that is a French, right?
Yes, it's our second language, people
Yeah.
in the U.S.
She's speaking. She's speaking French here. You know.
It's a desirable thing.
It's a good thing.
In Canada.
I love that.
We embrace everyone.
Yes.
I embrace the word woke because
Yes.
I am woke.
Yes.
I'm very, very woke.
Yes. If you don't mind, just make sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm very, very woke.
Right.
What that means is I'm very much aware of social injustice,
Right.
and I'm an active participant in making sure I live in a just world.
Right.
So yes, I'm woke.
Yes.
I like diversity.
Right.
I like people to have various discourse with different perspective, different ideas,
Right.
different ideologies, because that's what makes things rich
Right.
and unique
Right.
and relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So call me woke.
Right.
And I want us to start using the word woke, identifying with woke, because it has been appropriated
Mm-hmm.
by a factor that has no business
Okay.
using that word.
Right.
So
yes.
we need to own
yes.
it.
Yes.
Take it back.
I totally get what you're saying, because in their definition of woke is completely, it's almost like a lot of the social programs that started with on the right path with the right sense of interpretation and meaning has been co-opted and polluted and corrupted by people who are in powerful positions, especially in the media, in the mass media, where they take anything that they would deem valuable to a set of people on this side that actually need this particular thing to survive and to do well, and corrupt it in such a way where you don't no longer want to feel that you're a part of this particular thing, because they have really turned it to make it look like it's a horrible thing. If you say you're woke, they're kind of putting all kind of different meanings to what wokeism is all about, and completely getting away from the actual reality of what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to be awake is quite simple, people. If your mind is open and your eyes are open to what's going on in the world, all the injustice, all the abuse and all that, whatever the case may be, you are becoming aware. Therefore, we call you woke.
Yeah.
If you are aware of all that is happening around you, and how people manipulate, especially the mass media manipulate information so that you can keep, they can keep dumbing us down. I mean, that's a trick. That's a game in there. So anything that you from the civil rights movement to whatever it is, have a set of people in a different group that's going to come in and they're going to attach themselves to that, and they take it away. So now you have people equating, issues of the black community, for example, with that of the gay community, and kind of making making them, synonymous, and they like they're equal, but they're not. They're different issues completely.
Yep.
And so that's how they really entangle things to make sure that we stay confused about what the reality is. But I say this to say that I just want people to vibrate at love's frequency, right? And if you want to call it woke, or call it, thinking intelligently, or thinking differently, or being
Thinking
unique,
critically.
critically, then that, so be it. That's what it is. But and we really don't care, where you're from, your background, or anything. If you are vibrating at love's frequency, we will resonate. Okay, that's all there is. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm looking to do by, with the network of love, is make sure that we resonate with, as it doesn't have to be everyone. Those people who actually want to make a difference in their lives, and the lives of their family, their children, their community at whole, right? From the microcosm to the macrocosm of our society, we want to make sure that we are vibrating with the same frequency, and that is underlined with love.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, I totally, completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, I do really do need, I think we need to be a little bit more intentional and get the
Yes.
word out there
Right.
to start
Yes.
taking it back.
Yeah.
It's been co-opted.
It's for example, when we think about the finite resources on the earth, for example, of say land, or say, whatever, the forests or whatever, and you have corporate interests that want to, like, say, clear cut a certain amount of the forest and destroy a certain, that forest is there for many different, the fauna, right, of the earth, right? And some people want to say, well, you know what, I'm not concerned about you and your green issues and all of that. We're gonna keep burning fossil fuels, and we're gonna keep doing all of these things, because nothing's gonna happen. The world is like, and all of that. Maybe they know something that we don't know. But I say this for sure, that we cannot eat concrete.
Yeah.
Right? We cannot use skyscrapers to make our tea, and whatever.
Yeah.
We need farmland, we need greenery, we need to make sure that we're preserving whatever resource that we have, not just for ourselves. And if it was just for ourselves, hey, you know what I mean, whatever. But think of future generations. You to be selfish to the point where you only think about your existence on Earth, your very linear existence from year this to year that, and then you're no longer here. And you just by being here for that short period of time didn't really contribute anything. You're gonna just be like a parasite and consume. I think that's wrong. And so in there, I see no love in that. But if you share, teach someone how to plant and to farm and to harvest and to use the resource to the best of their ability, I think you're showing love. And thereby you're feeding and growing and you're supporting life, and that's what we're talking about.
It's so fascinating as I'm sitting here thinking about the heat wave that's going on right now, and the everlasting paving of our green space that's going on, and the heat that pavement retains and radiates onto us, and it just goes into a cycle, right? That perpetual cycle. So we have the heat wave because of, I like to say that Mother Nature is angry at us. Mother Nature is not happy about what but then instead of us stopping and pausing to figure out, what little tiny thing can I do to reduce my footstep? No, we go and pave to make it worse. Take away greenery. Take away a rose garden and pave it.
I often wonder, like, how many square kilometers of concrete or pavement, if you were to take them all and, like, line it up, like around the world, like, I mean, let's face it, progress have to be made, right? It's a part of our evolution and so on and so forth, right? But, I would say that the proper management of our resources is far from that. I think either way you look at it, whether it be from the fossil fuels or from the amount of sand that has been dredged from the ocean in order to, create all this concrete jungle, etc., endangering marine life and by extension endangering our food source. And so many things that's been done without proper management, and there's no real universal law, I believe, that forces us to conduct ourselves in such a way where we're doing it more as conservatives, more so than just people just exploiting for financial gain. I think we need to, from a governmental standpoint, from a societal standpoint, we need to really revisit some of these policies that we have and try to figure out, what do we do to make sure that we help to preserve some more of what it is, because how many more generations do we have to go before before something is reach the point of no return? We don't know that exactly, right? But if you're doing proper management and gauging that with our needs, again, as you mentioned earlier, needs and wants, right? And if we can deal with the needs more so than the wants, the wants is quite wasteful in my opinion. And how do we get to doing that? I think it's a total revolution mentally.
It is.
Politically, and it would have to happen on a worldwide scale, And when you see developing or nations who started doing things that they want to be like the so-called developed nations, and they're saying like, well, you did it, why can't we do it now? Because you know what I mean. It's not up to you. You can't just get and then you tell us, well, it's crazy. But I think it has to go beyond the individual person and beyond individual governments or just individual countries. I think it has to be an international effort.
Absolutely.
And I think that is where we probably young people need to be thinking, because we're gonna hand off to them soon, and I think that with them lies the future. And all we can do is maybe try to bring some awareness and maybe plant a little seed in the minds, and someone will be able to take that and do something with it that's beneficial for all of us.
Simple things. Very, very simple things. I like to talk in concretes, and I was the chair of my son's school council. And I would sometimes I'd have meetings in the morning, and I would go there and I'd see all of these cars, parents dropping off their kids, and then I would see the buses. There's a special bus that takes the kids to the school, not a school bus. It's like a regular transit bus, and they would have 3 of them, all lined up in a row, coming one after the other. They would pass my house at 7 o'clock in the morning. It takes probably a 15-minute bike ride, 6-minute drive. So it's very, very short distance. But because they take the milk route, right? So you have 3 buses, all 3 taking the milk route, right? And they're all empty.
Wow.
Kids aren't getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you want to put one bus at 7 o'clock and they take one route, have all of them at 7:45, right? And they all 3 of them take 3 different routes. And it took forever for York Region Transit to get that notion that it doesn't make sense. You're wasting my tax money. We're trying to develop or produce public transit riders. We're not trying to encourage kids to drive, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Small thing. Very, very small thing. Just put up a banner outside your school. Walk, ride. Little things, right? And it does make a difference, because I mean, that could be probably 50% of all of those kids will decide to take transit instead of getting a car when they're 16 and drive everywhere, right? Anyways,
well, I mean, I think one of the things that we, in that case, for example, one of the things that we have to do is, I think for kids driving at 16 is a very big thing. It's very exciting. It's like it's almost like it's like
a rite of
one
passage.
Those things you look forward to and so on. So, but I do believe that if we are able to do more green energy, for example, I think that's good. For example, using and converting more of the fossil fuel engines to things that run on hydrogen, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a company right now in the US. I've kind of invested a little bit in this company because, again, it's a network of love. And what I'm trying to do is, in my own little way, invest or, or encourage companies or people who are doing things in a positive for the planet and for, people in general. It's called HNOI is the actual ticker. I don't know if I'm not actually doing a promotion of this. I'm just saying, like, it's HNO Green Fuels, and what they do is they are actually trying to put in an infrastructure where you have hydrogen as a fuel that's available nationwide in the U.S., starting in the U.S. and hopefully spreading worldwide after that. Wherein, the water is split into its components, hydrogen and oxygen, and the only byproduct is actually water, right? So you're burning hydrogen, and it burns much more efficiently than the fossil fuels, right? And so I think that is a good idea. I know that we talk about the electric vehicles like the Teslas and so on. Those are fine, but they are also they use a lot of fossil fuels in order to make what they make in that area too, right? Because the amount of power that's required to do, even to make the electric cells, is immense, right? So it's like it's 6 to 1 and half a dozen of the other, right? But when it comes to things like hydrogen as an alternative fuel, I think that is something that we should really encourage, and try to find out where we can find these companies and support those companies, right? Because I think it makes way better sense than some of the other solutions that are there, right? Yeah. So Claudia, is there anything else that you want to touch on so far?
No. Well, Emancipation Day
Okay.
just happened in Canada, August 1st.
August 1st, right?
Yeah. Didn't We've had August 1st as a civic holiday, so it's not a federal holiday.
Right.
It's a civic holiday, so
Okay.
not everything is closed, right? Yeah.
Right.
But I had no idea
Okay.
of the history. I just knew it as a civic holiday. Didn't know it was Emancipation Day.
Oh, okay.
And that also coincide with the celebration, Caravana.
Okay.
I think now they call it the Caribbean Toronto, whatever.
I can't get used to that.
No, I'm not going to do it.
I can't get used to that.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Again, it just goes to point out how whenever we come up with an idea that
it gets co-opted.
Yes.
Yeah.
The corporate interests are always there, like sharks, and that's what they do.
Did with this,
They bite you and they roll under the water with you, and before you know it, you no longer exist, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? And that's why I think it's very important for us as a community to when we do build something, to make sure that we find all the legal ways of protecting whatever it is that we birth in terms of business,
the identity,
in terms of ideas
the
and
brand.
so on. Intellectual property is extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And whenever you have an idea, whether it's be a song or whatever, make sure that you know how to protect your intellectual property, because that will bring residual income for you and your family for generations to come, right? And if you have somebody come and say to you, well, we're just going to give you X amount of dollars and we're going to take this over, we're going to make it bigger and better, but you get a little cut for the so on and so on and so forth. You give up on everything that you actually work so hard for over the many years. And you know what? Money is not valuable. I'm telling you that right now. People think that the dollar is valuable. It's not, okay? The dollar is just a mean of doing transactions, but it's not valuable. For example, if you wanna make sure that there's value to your dollar, invest in something like land, okay? Invest in something that's real currency, like gold, right? And I think you need to start looking at different areas where you can actually make sure that whatever you work hard for, is valuable to you. So don't trade it just for the dollars, right? Look at long-term value and middle, and especially intergenerational value,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's where we need to be.
Yeah.
When I think about some of the statistics that I looked at when I was like in Atlanta, in Georgia, and it said that in the black community, for example, only possess 2% of the GDP, like 2% of all wealth in the United
In the
States.
United States, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is phenomenally low, right? And so we need to change that. First of all, is a revolution in our minds. We gotta look at things differently. We gotta understand the value. If I have a product or a service that brings value to you in in our community, why not support that, right? And don't always try to say you want to get the best price, right? Look at value instead,
Yeah.
right? And I think that alone, small things in terms of changing our mindset, would go a very long way in improving, what we have a stake in terms of our ownership in industry, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, right. So
that was a lot.
Sometimes I do tend to go there because the network of love is really about maybe bringing awareness, no matter how small it is.
Yeah.
So that, or even just stimulating your mind to think differently about something that you probably never thought about. Or even if you thought about it, you probably didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But how about thinking of like, maybe I could buy 2 acres of land and I could have it sit and I could, I don't have to buy a fancy car and just my money just depreciates immediately. Invest your money in something that is long term, right? And let it grow. Let your money work for you. Don't work for your money. Okay, so that's just some of the things that I'd like to put out in the network of love. But remember, people, we're still coming at you directly from an underground, non-disclosed area in the city of Markham, Ontario, Canada. Very soon we're going to be back to our original underground bunker in Atlanta, Georgia. But wherever we are vibrating at love's frequency, and we love when you're here with your family to join us every Sunday from 6 till whenever we feel like stop. We run this. This is what I'm saying. We know how we run this. And we know say you're getting information that's valuable. And we know say you can put your mind in a different space. Maybe when you go to work in the week, you can think that makes sense. So why don't I make a suggestion to my youth, because my youth was kind of like looking confused about what the future looked like. Why not? You know what I mean? Just something that gives you just a little bit of courage and a little bit of I guess different perspectives on how you might be able to assist young people and thereby helping to better our future. So
this is a trilingual podcast.
Oh yeah, you mean you and the French and
English and the
English
patois.
and the patois. Well, you know what? I love it because it just shows that how interconnected we are, like everywhere. And and of course, you're Jamaican background too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we talk, you understand exactly what I say. So, yeah, I mean, and again about that, Jamaica just coming off its 63rd anniversary of independence. And just to address that quickly, remember again that independence, I don't really recognize it. People might say, what do you mean? Well, you know what? Because that is something that's it's an artificial independence that was granted by the colonial powers, to tell you that you're free. No. Your freedom was given to you by the Creator, the Most High. You see what I'm saying? So celebrate that. Celebrate you, being a human being, and don't go by the the timeline or the calendar that was given to you by the colonials, because that's how they control your mind. All right? Enough said. So, Claudia, I really enjoyed this podcast. It was one of those ones where I didn't get a chance to do much in terms of setting up or playing music or doing anything fancy.
Okay.
But it was one of those that I truly enjoyed sitting here and having conversation with you, because it's about the future of our children,
Mm-hmm.
and what we can do to make sure that those people who are woke understand that their wokeness, should not be defined by the powers that
Mm-hmm.
be and by the mass media and their influence.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been here for 55 minutes now live,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a wonderful 55 minutes.
Mm.
So we're going to keep it to an hour today, and we want to remember to invite everybody to come in
Mm-hmm.
to the Network of Love every Sunday. Make sure you don't come in and don't come alone. Cause when you don't come alone, it's like kind of boring. Like, okay, come alone. That don't make no writing sense. You know what I'm saying? So come with somebody, come with a friend,
Okay.
come with somebody, your partner. You know what I mean? Come with somebody. Don't come by yourself. It's no fun. Right?
All right.
So and let us all get together here every Sunday and celebrate, our diversity, or trilingual broadcast, or however you want to put it, right? And sometimes we just run a rap at us. See what I mean?
Yes,
So,
same way.
same way. I want to give a rat's tail. Yeah. So it's all about love again, people. I'm happy that you were able to join us. And remember, we set a goal for 50,000 subscribers for the end of this month, right? Yeah, time is catching up on us. I only have maybe 2 more podcasts in a month, I think. So if we can do, we're over 30,000 now. So if we can do, we need 20. So if we can do like 10,000 for the each podcast next,
Mm-hmm.
right, we will meet our goal. So if every one of you who have subscribed, I thank you. Let me just say from the bottom of my heart, 33,000, over 33,000 of you who have subscribed to this channel, I want to thank you very much. And I really appreciate the fact that you see value in what we do. And we encourage you to share if you see value. Share with your friends, your family. Bring everyone that you know. Tell them about us. And come, let's have some fun. Because it's not going to be like this all the time. Sometimes we're going to play music and dance and, have fun, right? But sometimes we find it necessary to sit and have a real conversation about what's happening around us. And so that being said, I'd like to allow Claudia to have a last word before we close up. And so for everybody, I want to make sure that you have a good week coming up, and see you again next week right here. So Miss Claudia, a little last
Thank
word for us.
you. That's all I can say. Just thank you
Yeah.
for this opportunity. Thank you for prioritizing
Right.
this topic. I
you.
think it's important. And
Thank
yeah, good luck.
Yes.
I will be reaching out. I will
Yes.
be telling people about your podcast.
Thank you very much. And you
Okay.
know what? I would love to do this again sometime. So anytime you feel there is an issue that you'd like to bring forward for the community, to get that information and
Okay.
to be able to network, anything that you want to do, I'd be happy to do that with you,
Okay.
to make sure that we can keep information positive, strong, and that we
Okay.
can keep growing the network. All right.
Ashe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
So again, people, enough love and respect. I am
Mhm.
your host, Beatmaster Neddy G, live and direct. That ain't no jive. Coming to you from a nondescript, undisclosed area in the city of Markham, Ontario, Canada. And I was here with Claudia. And of course, again, make sure you have a good week coming up and stay out of trouble. That's all I can say. I mean, I say no more than that today, right? Yeah, so as we leave now, I say, this is the Network of Love, your host, Beatmaster, tuning out. Until we meet again next week, same place, same time. Yes. Vibrate at love's frequency. Because, we don't come for ramp with it. That's how we do it, live and direct. Yeah, so these are the musical discotheque. Yeah, we are going to run them hot to a wreck. Yeah. Just having fun. You know what I mean? So come back and join us next week. I'm Beatmaster Neddy G tuning out. Network of Love.